We do about ונשמרתם Safety Center First Aid, 305 Church Avenue, mit in den Instructor Shloimi Grunfeld. Lass mal anchecken, was Shloimi, lass mal sehen. Was tut sich nur Hand? Lass mal sehen, wie Shloimi ist. Lass mal anchecken, was Shloimi. Shloimi!
Hi, how are you?
Shloimi, wow. Shalom Aleichem. Claim condemn the mic. Clip it onto your shirt.
Welcome, you thought you showed up, huh?
We showed up. Wow. Kijk wat dit zich door hebben. Het lijkt door mensen. Shloimi, the mic is yours, the floor is yours.
Chaim, thank you so much for stopping by.
Of course.
Schmoozing about how popular your status is.
Shkoyach.
So, what more can I say? I figured let me bring you in a little bit into my little hidden domain, and let's let the public know a little bit about what I do. So, Baruch Hashem, I'm a CPR and first aid instructor for a good 20 plus years, an active Atzula member for also about 20 years. I've seen a lot, and I have a lot to offer for the tzibur. And the way these classes are designed is that there's a multitude of programs. There is, for example, adult and child CPR, which is the basics, including how to be able to use an AED. If you see Grada, I put out some of the infant mannequins because I have a group coming later which we're going to focus on pediatrics. So
wow.
Basically, we follow the core competencies of the American Heart Association, but from personal experience. Everything in the book is covered, but I speak from experience. For example, I'll give you I don't want to go into too many details, but to me, if somebody's going to come into my class tonight and they're going to learn, for example, how to deal with a choking infant, the book will not even explain so much how to pick up a baby that's panicking, but that itself is a very important skill. For example,
wow.
How to pick up a baby that's fighting. You put down in a sandwich position. What I just did looks very smooth and subtle. You hear the noise, are very sharp. Watch this. And then when you have those chest compressions, now what I did now looks to a layman doesn't look like a lot of things just happened, but
right.
In reality, what I made sure is that I supported the head and the neck, kept the airway open. The baby could flail but can't do anything because it's sandwiched between both forearms. Head is lower, positioning is perfect. The back blows are perfect because you want to have a sharp compression on the lungs to get the object out. You want to do it strong, but not crazy strong. Bring back the head always lower, visualize to see if the object can be removed. And then you have the chest thrust. You can hear it. And what I keep on telling my students, and this is very important, is to slow down in order to speed up. A lot of times people, when they're confronted with a severe, unexpected situation, it's very normal to freeze up. But the reality is, if you're well trained and you have an instructor that cares and that prepares you properly for different scenarios, first of all, you won't freeze up. And second of all, Mi'at Hashem, you should never need it, but you'll be able to actually save lives.
Oh my! So let's get down to Tachlis. I mean that's the Tachlis, but so you're doing this for over 20 years. You're training CPR first aid. What are you? Let me hear. People want to see my status. You go around to schools, to yeshivas, to offices. Let me hear a little more of what you do about that.
So let me explain. So this is just my official base. People that want to learn, but they want to come down somewhere. They don't have their own place. So this is where I'm based.
This is where you do your classes based out of.
It's very conveniently located on Church Avenue and East 3rd. It's right off the Prospect. It's about 10-12 minutes from Williamsburg. It's between Borough Park and Flatbush. It's a very convenient area for all these areas. Within a couple of minutes, you're here.
Okay.
What I also do a lot is I've gone down to yeshivas, sometimes mesiftas, that have special programs for buchrim to keep them entertained. Baruch Hashem, I know how to entertain.
The lifestyle entertainment ook
get the masses, Hatsula masses. Obviously we protect it's all confidential, but just some stories I have are just crazy funny stories over the years. And it's educational and it's constructive, and they walk out
knowing something.
And in many cases, we actually end up certifying them. We go through it one-on-one. I bring down my mannequins when they're ready and they're competent, and they actually have something to show for them.
It's amazing. So you could come down to yeshiva, let's say a nachside, the yeshiva, could use some extra curriculum, a nachside or whatever Bainas do them. You could come down over a course of a couple of weeks. You could certify all the bucherim.
Yes.
CPR first aid.
I actually have done that. And the mala is also, let's face it, I'm a Heimish Ingerman, so I'm also sensitive to the Rachnisdige environment, and we don't just discuss Stam al. We're very careful about what topics we introduce, how we introduce it, that we can have a good, fun, educational
I love
time,
that.
and still sensitive to the needs of the Bukhara.
I love that. I wish Al Bukhara would have had that. So tell me like this, Shlomi, offices also, let's say your office wants the old employee should be certified first aid CPR.
So there are different tracks. The most common track that I do, right now I'm currently working with the American Heart Association. I just find it the easiest to work with them. They have a program called Heart Saver. Again, I teach a lot more than that, but I use the core competencies of the class. It's first aid CPR and AED, which is a basic level. It's not EMT level. This is not a 4 to 6 month course, hundreds of hours.
It's a couple of weeks.
Basically, if you want a comprehensive course, depending on the size of the classes, which by the way, I'm very mindful to keep the class sizes small.
Right.
Very rare that I would have more than 9 people. It's usually an average of 5 to 6, 7 people. So I have
for a class, first aid CPR class. But how about not a class? Let's say a school with 100 kids wants you to come in and talk about choking, talk about that.
I'm glad you brought that up. So now I'm starting a new initiative. I could see it being a great idea, is to offer shuls, for example, over Sabuna program. It's a challenge, but I see it as a very big opportunity to be able to connect to a different dynamic of different age groups. Sometimes you have 5, 6-year-old kids, you can have 12-year-old children, and you want something geschmack. You have a dynamic person with experience come down and first of all share a couple of geschmack stories with them, loosen up the crowd. And then I could teach them how to do the Heimlich maneuver, explain to them how to recognize the signs of a heart attack, a stroke. Nothing too heavy because they're younger children, but to instill a certain sense of awareness of how to recognize and how to deal with an emergency.
Wow, Shlomi, this sounds just unbelievable. It's mamash, I would say, avoid for somebody not to learn first aid CPR. You know, if something happens and you're in the right place at the right time and you could save the person's life, it's a should not to know it.
So there's yeshivas, schools, mesiftas, shuls, professional environments. We also have a professional track for nurses, for the healthcare professional that need certification on a high level. And the same thing is private. We do personal training as well. There's actually a big Rebbe, when there's I'll get into trouble. I go to Rebbe, ich personally was going to CPR.
Wow.
He wanted to know, but he didn't want anybody to.
So you one-on-one, you went down to his house.
But even now, people have their own schedules. I'll come down to them. I work on a case-by-case basis. We're here to accommodate everybody. And you know, when you're dealing with somebody that cares, we can work things out.
That's amazing. So Shlomi, if somebody wants to sign up, if somebody wants to book you for his camp, day camp, school, work on place, what's the number?
Hit me up, guys. 718-986-8251. 718-986-8251. Text, WhatsApp, call, whatever works for you.
Okay, and if you mention the Chaim Perlowitz Show.
So if you mention the Chaim Perlowitz Show, there is pocket masks that are a $10 item that are required and mandatory. That'll be on the house, included in the package, if you mention the Perlowitz Show.
Very good. Now, Shlomi, before we wrap up, you said you have so many good, juicy stories. Just give me one story before we wrap up.
So actually, this was about 20 years ago. It was the first day I had my Flapper Shatzola radio. I had a family wedding, and my wife told me, don't take your radio, you don't need it, you don't have equipment yet. And for Steitzach, I had to take my radio. We'll leave that out. And during the chasana on the dance floor, the Elte Fette from the Chusen crashed, coded, collapsed, cardiac arrest. Literally, I was standing right there, his eyes rolled back, unresponsive, no breathing. As an instructor, I already taught then and I already sensed, I saw right away this is serious. I whipped out my radio that I officially shouldn't have had. I called in a witnessed code. There was a Hatzula member in the kitchen that ran out and we both did CPR together. He took one look at me and he was my Talmud. He was one of my first Talmidim. Before he became a Hatzula member, I taught him CPR in Williamsburg in those days.
Wow.
And we saved a life. And the Irish itself, 2 weeks later, this patient that was clinically dead was driving a car.
Unbelievable. So you and your Talmud saved a life.
Yeah, it's a true story.
Unbelievable. So you have Talmidim come back and say, Shlomi and Yoschis, I saved a life. That's unbelievable. Okay? Many more to come, Met Hashem, after this video goes out. Shlomi, thank you so much.
Thank you, Chaim. Thank you for stopping by.
Avada. Tzluch herab. Alechting tug.